Okay. Do you start? Oh,
Yes.
hello and welcome to another episode of
We have not picked a name yet.
What do you mean? That was your
Reading through a lens of meaning. Yes. We are really bad at this.
I just love to
We
set you
will
up.
never be able to make it in radio.
Well, I love to set you up and then see you be like that silence that kills you. My battery is low, so we better hurry up.
Oh shit! Wait, where's the chapter entrance? I'm trying to rewind. Does it? Why does it?
They should have a way to yeah, you can do.
I think you can like
go
minimize and then like do all that stuff.
to. You can go
shoot!
to.
I deleted a comment.
Good job.
So okay.
You're reading the first
shoot!
sentence.
I got to chapter 2.
No, you go here. You go here. You click on the top, and then you go to. And you go to chapter 3.
That was easy.
Okay, read the first sentence. Start the intro.
Level 3. The system verified that I was on the chat room's access list and allowed me to enter. My view of the classroom shrank from the limits of my peripheral vision to a small thumbnail window in the lower right of my screen.
I like how we're doing the editing ourselves. Like they have like a professional.
We don't have the time to edit on the.
You're like.
It's edited actually, so.
And that would be because it's audio, so obviously for them it's an easier thing to edit.
Yeah,
for us,
edit.
It'd be like we have to cut some weird, thing would have to happen.
Oh, and today's theme is peer pressure. So we believe that you have a story for us today.
Who's we? We believe
the world.
The world. Okay, the world believes, right? So peer pressure. Obviously, I think it's another word that has negative connotations. And one of the things that I thought of immediately was as an immigrant coming from India, especially in a time where I came in 2001, so it wasn't the best time for me to come.
That was 9.
Right. And I came in the summer, so right before it happened.
Right.
And I was in elementary school, so you would think that kids aren't really aware of that. It wouldn't matter. But I felt like there was a lot of not only judgment, but there was from my own perspective, there was a lot of pressure to fit in and a lot of peer pressure to and it sounds strange, but not only to do what they do, but also to dress the way they do, to to have the coolest lunchbox. And it sounds silly, but the way that a 9-year-old can feel pressured into fitting in ways that I felt like I had to change myself so that nobody would think I'm a terrorist, right? To say okay, now I have this kind of cool lunchbox too. I don't bring stinky lunches, right? I also have peanut butter and jelly and apple slices. And me literally telling my mom that I need to have sandwiches to go to school. I can't bring all that stuff. And for me, I didn't think it was a big deal, but I'm assuming for my mom, it was what's happening?
You're probably thinking about it.
Yeah. So the things that you just to fit in, you feel and some of it is very not subjective. What word am I thinking? Implicit, or you don't realize you're doing it. A lot of it is mannerisms that I remember picking up, and my mom being where did you learn that? Why are you saying that? Right? You never used to say these things, and now all of a sudden you're talking back and you're saying these things that but I thought I was cool. And I remember even giving attitude to be Mom, kids these days, they don't do this with their parents. Right. You don't understand. You don't need to know where I was, right? Things like that, where I didn't realize that I was hurting my parents, A, but B, that I was kind of trying so hard to be a part of a culture that didn't even want me. And so I think that was one of the biggest, I think because it's shaped, and it's not even just elementary school, literally until I would say college.
Yeah.
I was still trying to be somebody, else to fit in. And I think it takes a long time to kind of get out of that and to say, okay, you know what? I don't need to be somebody else. I can be myself to a certain extent, and have surround myself with people who accept me for me, as opposed to this weird version of me trying to be other people. So yeah, that was my story. I guess they're really like peer pressure is kind of everywhere, and I think there are a lot of ways. I'm sure that it affects you in your life, but I think that was definitely one of the biggest ones for me personally.
Right. And I think there's always that, I mean, you mentioned it, there's that implicit peer pressure, which is somewhat just happening. And then I think the main difference is eventually once you are in college, you sort of start realizing that peer pressure. And then I think it's more of a choice of whether you want to like have that peer pressure or like step out of it. And then both
Yeah.
of them have different consequences anyways.
Yeah, and I feel like for me, one of the reasons that I kind of got out of it, not that I was like super like into it, but one of the reasons that I really what opened my eyes was seeing other people who had already came to that realization and who were like unabashedly themselves. And instead of thinking, oh, she's weird, I started to think, well, she's so brave and she doesn't care that nobody, like whoever likes her or not. She's doing what she wants to do, and without a care. And
Right.
that's like hard to do. Like I remember thinking, damn, that's brave. Like I can't just be that like to whoever. Like it, not to like I was like not myself at all, but
Right.
that complete 100% me. I was like, but I don't need to do that. I used to think like nobody needs to know the 100% me. Like I think there's a different person that's outside, and there can be a different person that's inside.
Mm.
But then like I remember seeing people who are like, no, it's just take it or leave it, like this is me, take it or leave it. And like I think that was like, because I don't think it would have been much harder for me to realize it on my own. I think you see people who, and sometimes you only realize things about yourself when you see yourself in others.
Yeah.
Like you see that somebody else is doing that and somebody else is hiding themselves, and you're like, wait, why is she doing that? She shouldn't do that.
But
you're
see,
like,
that's the
wait,
thing,
right?
you only question it when you sort of do realize it, because otherwise you will follow, and I think you will get into that peer pressure because
Yeah.
you at that point you're not questioning anything.
Yeah. I remember like thinking first, I was like, oh, peer pressure. The first thing that comes to mind is like, a peer pressured into doing drugs or alcohol or bad things, like bad things. But I feel like it's so much more than that, because those explicit bad things, peer pressure wise, happen pretty rarely. I feel like, when like I remember growing up though, when I used to hear the term peer pressure, it was always framed in that, oh, when you're out at a party and somebody tells you, oh, you drink, like don't fall for the peer pressure. But it's like I've had peer pressure since like the beginning of life. Everybody peer pressures everybody to a certain extent. You just have to kind of know and recognize it to be able to say, well, do I actually want to do it or not, and make the decision accordingly.
I think if you like glamorize peer pressure sort of and like make it more meaningful, it becomes like influence, because I think it is the same thing necessarily, but yeah, with influence it's usually with positive things. With
that's what I was gonna say. Influence also could be a positive thing too. I feel like peer pressure is generally negative, unless you're talking about like, oh, I don't know. I feel like peer pressure is usually negative, right?
It is,
like,
because I think generally you're saying that, I think the term is peer pressure, that you're getting pressurized from
into
your
doing
peers
something you don't want to do.
Something you're not inherently needing to do or wanting to do. But yeah, so wait, whose turn was it for the summary? Was it my turn?
Probably yours, because I think
I do a terrible job at summaries. But
oh yeah, I did summary last time. Yeah.
But this is
a short
small chapter, so I'll try to be concise and normal about it.
Okay.
But okay, so it starts with, or he's in school, he's in his VR set now. So I think most of the book is
so he just went into the chat. H's chat room.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he's already wearing his VR set, and he was in his
yeah.
And then from his classroom he went to the chat room. So he explains chat rooms, they're apparently virtual sort of creations that are outside of the world realm oasis technically, and they're like, you can't really open doors and stuff because it's that specific place, and he can't afford it, of course, because he doesn't have money. But H is one of his best friends, and he's also H is one of his best friends. Like I think he says that towards the end. But H is somewhat more popular than Artemis, and you can't be laughing at this because then I'll all screw up. But
Yeah, continue.
H is really popular, so he has other people hanging out in the um room. What was it called? Basement. Why are you laughing? Well, let's explain this first, and then we'll go
You know when
back.
you're laughing in class and you know you're not supposed to laugh, so you keep
Exactly.
laughing?
So that makes me
That's what's
laugh
happening.
more.
That's all that's happening. It's
Okay.
not even funny. Okay,
I'll
continue.
explain it. Hopefully by the end you're done with laughing so we can talk.
Yes.
But okay, where was I? Basement.
Mhm.
So with basement, there's like a few other people. He goes, H is playing some video game. I don't know all these references, so I'm not gonna list
That's
them out.
okay. If you want to
But
know, read the book.
yeah, he goes and they talk a little bit. They don't really talk about the egg hunt in front of everyone, because I mean it's sort of, and they're both solo finders or gunters, whatever you call, because
Hmm.
they're not part of these groups who are also hunting for these eggs, and they don't
Hmm.
believe in that as well. And then this weird guy comes in who's cool but not really cool. I don't know what's happening. And then they sort of have a riff off about Halliday's
Wait, they have
stuff.
a who?
Like a, isn't it a riff off? I mean, usually it's with songs and stuff, but like they just have a face
Like
to
a back and
face
forth.
back and forth. Okay, sure. About Halliday's like one up. They all try to one up each other.
There you go.
Um, and it turns out, of course, H and Wade know, or Percival, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
they know more. Wade, like they know everything about Hell, and then sort of make fun of him, the third guy, and then he leaves because then they get a call from the school that, hey, come back to school. I mean, they don't get that call, but they get a notification.
I just love the way you explain it as if like you're a 80-year-old grandma who read this, so who doesn't understand technology, and so you're like, and then they
I
get a call from school.
that they do. See, I'm trying to make it relatable for people who,
Totes.
yeah.
I get it. I totally get it.
But did I miss anything?
I think that was the gist of it.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like I think the chapter was pretty limited to that interaction of like maybe the half an hour that he spent in the basement.
Yeah.
Like what I really took away from it was like how they kind of showed the difference between H and Wade and everyone else. Like they made it clear that their friendship and connection started off and is so strong because of their obsession with Halliday and
Right.
finding the egg. But even more so than all the Gunters, like they make it clear that they have all the knowledge, like way more knowledge than anybody else. And they do make that clear by having that interaction with that third guy who comes in, who may be rich and who has all the stuff but doesn't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
So, and that's why like even H turns around at the end and is like, I keep him because I think what Wade was like, why do you still let him come?
Yeah.
And I think he was like, oh well, if
Just so
he
we can
kind
do
of
that.
demonstrates that
Yeah.
there are so many, most of the Gunters around are his type, where like they
Yeah.
may have a lot of things, but they don't have the knowledge, and which gives me hope that you and I can kind of actually do this.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that that I feel like because of the first couple of chapters, I mean this is literally the third chapter, but it felt like Wade was like kind of down on himself. He didn't have too many friends. He didn't have like, this really shows that he has like found someone who is just as crazy about it as he is, and like, not only that, but is rich enough or like makes enough money that can afford to give him all these resources to like do the research. And but yeah, that obviously the whole chapter is only about their conversations and
Yeah, it's
playing
mostly
games.
I think what the book is here tries to say. I mean, it's nothing much to do with peer pressure, but I think
Okay.
it's mostly setting that stage of the references and the holidays stuff. Because I think
There was
we
a
know
lot of
that
holiday stuff.
yeah, I know it'll come up a lot, but I think this has a lot of like, even they have that specific of like what part was released when and what was the price for that part. And I think they're setting that stage for that. Just get ready for all the 70s and 80s references.
Yeah.
But overall, did you find peer pressure anywhere in this chapter? I think the only place, I mean, I'll try to start off, but I think, I mean, if not, but then you can go ahead. But I think the only real place that I saw peer pressure was their obsession with Holiday, in a sense where they're both sort of, because of this. I mean, see, that's the thing. It's two things. There is the hunt for Easter, not Easter egg, for the Holiday egg. for Halliday's egg. There's this hunt going on. So
Yeah.
I guess that's also pressuring in the sense, but still, they're both pressuring each other to, or not them, like generally Gunters and people talking about the egg and whatnot, to
Yeah.
know more about Halliday. Now, you can argue that that's stupid and you don't need all this information, but they've convinced themselves that this is what will lead them to the like egg.
Yeah.
And I think because of the inherent pressure that I need to know more, because if I know more, I'll be able to succeed. But
Mm.
that so far has not been proven true. So we're still, I think that pressure is still getting to them. I mean, we know it'll help them eventually, but as of yet, we don't know that. So I think it could be considered as just wasteful effort.
Do you think so? I'm sorry if I misheard in the beginning, but so were you saying the pressure of, because what I read into it was the pressure of everybody doing it makes you want to do it. That's what
Right.
I was thinking. That the peer pressure is coming kind of from like, oh well, I don't want to be left out. I don't want to be the only person not looking. And so let me keep looking and let me do what I need keep like doing to get more and more, closer to than everybody else. As opposed to the pressure to learn more to win the egg, right? Maybe that's what you were saying,
Yeah, I
right?
think I went a
Pressure
step
to
further
know
of
more
like,
than others.
yeah,
Right.
I think I went that step where like I want to know more than others, so
Right.
I'll like be able to succeed because they're both in like really content on winning. Like I think Wade talks a lot about winning. I don't know about H yet. I mean, he does generally talk about it, but I think
Yeah.
because H has his own life, like he has a basement, he has money somewhat, and he's
Yeah.
already popular. He's going to the other planets to like do all those
Get money or
1%
whatever.
activities,
Yeah.
which Wade doesn't have. So for Wade, it's only I want to win this whole challenge. Whereas
Mm,
because there's nothing else, because that's the only way he will do anything else. So I think
mm,
for him, yeah, it is the goal of winning, and that's what his I think mindset would be more of that like I want to know more to win. Whereas for H, it might be what I think you're talking about is I want to be at the like par with people who all like know everything.
I don't know about that only because I feel like H is on Wade's level on like the knowledge of
Yeah.
Halliday. And I think if he was what you were saying, then he would be on the level of everybody else's and
Right.
every other bunter. Where if he was not really into it, he might just do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But
But
I
see,
feel
he
like
met
he
Wade.
is so into it.
So and he like in the text it also said that even H told Wade that he was his best friend. So
Right.
if we think from that perspective, then maybe when they were initially like friended each other, that's when for him the standard now is Wade. So
I don't think so
right,
because literally it said when they'd met, right? We'd met one weekend in a public Gunter chat room and hit it off immediately because we shared all the same interests, which
right,
is to say one interest, a total all-consuming obsession with Halliday and his Easter egg.
right.
It is
But
called
see, it
Easter egg.
was that I think that was then. But over like I feel like I don't know. I think I'm saying this because when I listen to both H and Wade talk, Wade has an excitement, whereas H is kind of mellow about everything. He's like, eh,
Really?
whatever, like, okay, I know everything, like let's get over it. I don't know, I got that. I did not
I
get
didn't get that at
it. I
all.
thought it was like chilling on the sofa, like with his like at the back.
With the entire fight that they had about the Halliday information, I
Yeah,
don't know.
even
I didn't
that, I
feel
was
that.
like,
I
he's
felt like
one
they
of the like
both.
older guys who's just like I know my shit. Like, what do you want?
I didn't get that at all. I honestly thought they were both like just as obsessed, and that's why they're such good friends because all they want to do all the time is just know more about
Right.
Halliday and his life and the things he did.
Have you met?
So
I mean, this is so off topic, but that's okay. Have
I don't
you?
think everything needs to be about peer pressure.
Yeah,
FYI,
exactly.
I think when we have a conversation, it can
Have
be about
you
something.
met anyone? Well, first, are there things? I mean, I'm sure there's things that you're obsessed with, or maybe just a thing or two things. But
Yeah.
have you met anyone who is as obsessed with something that you are obsessed with? Like for me,
Um.
like Harry Potter is an obsession in a sense, and I think I've not necessarily met someone who's as obsessed, or I would think about it. But I think I know people who are somewhat obsessed.
Yeah.
So I think, but it's still, I think it's still change. Like I, that's why I don't feel. any pressure. But I think if you meet someone your equivalent, I do feel that pressure of wanting to know more than them.
Really?
Yeah, there's this weird like, oh wait.
Even they say that they have a back and forth all the time about who's better.
Yeah.
So I think obviously that must be true. I personally haven't really encountered that, but I'm sure that that's true because I mean, it's out of, I'm sure, like just friendship. It's not like meant
Right.
in a way that's offensive. I think it's probably helpful for both of them because it makes them both want to
learn more,
which I'm sure helps them. So, but yeah, I think that's one of the places that I saw that for sure. I saw it a different way, like I mentioned, where I was thinking about what they had talked about before too, about how they had interest initially about a lot of gunters when the contest came out, but then as people died off, as it went on, time went on, people lost interest. But I felt like the reason that there is still so much interest is that pressure from others to say, well, I don't want somebody else to find it before me. Yeah. I need to do it. I don't know if that's necessarily peer pressure though, because I think of peer pressure as wanting to do something, or like not wanting to do something, but like, because I guess that is because others are doing it, or because everybody else is telling you to do something.
Because it doesn't have to be bad for you. So I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait, why is your laptop making those sounds?
Actually, I don't know, because I'm trying to find a good place to put my laptop, and it's just on my lap, so that's fine. Oh. One of the other places that I thought of peer pressure was actually similar to my story in a way. When H describes himself, or like when Wade describes what H looks like, H's avatar.
Right.
And he says H's avatar was a tall, broad-shouldered Caucasian male with dark hair and brown eyes. And I felt like that description felt like, to me, something that somebody would just put to fit in, right? Somebody like super classic. No, I'm not going to cause any sort of tension. I'm going to just either blend in or be deemed attractive, right? Yeah. Like that person, H, may not look anything like that, right? And if we know, I think what happens, I don't even remember, honestly. So, but I know that it's probably not what he or she looks like. But yeah, so like that's just something that I feel like, obviously, why is that the avatar you choose to cause, like, in your mind that there's a certain look of a person that will cause less drama, that will cause less looks, right? And so I feel like you want to, you want to be a certain person that, everybody thinks that they are looking for. And so like, I feel like that was very,
and this is in such contrast with what Artemis looked like, because he explained how she has this like, she's somewhat chosen an avatar which wouldn't be like considered an attractive or a really fitting in type person. And I think she sort of stands out because of that, and for that she's even known at this point. But yeah, this was a more contrasting of like how generally people day to day would be pressured to do just something. For them, it's normal. It's not bad for them either, but it's just something that they got pressured into doing, and then they're just okay with it as well.
Right.
But because I think when I think of peer pressure, I think like when I was initially, I was like, oh, what if I had to tell a story? I was also thinking generally about. But I think I was thinking more college when I knew it was peer pressure, in the sense where I was being peer pressure to do something, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And I think that, like, I mean, even initially, like moving, I mean, we both know about it. The whole, like, when I like initially freshman year, like all the Pakistanis, Indians who we hung out with, and I think there was this pressure of like being okay with plagiarizing or cheating on papers, or talking about things that I probably just didn't like to talk about in general.
Yeah.
But I think all that stuff, I was being pressured. I know a lot of other people who didn't really care about that, but they were pressured to doing that because they were Pakistanis, or they were like known, or how do you call it? Like just from same backgrounds. But I think I sort of decided that I do not want to be pressurized into doing something that's not me. And I saw the results of like sort of being ostracized because of it. And like the whole sophomore year, I was sort of excluded from that circle. Yeah. Which, to be honest, I sort of grew into appreciating, because I like reached out, I made more friends. And I mean, weirdly, like 2 years later, they all accepted me as a person who's not who doesn't get pressurized easily, which they appreciated as well.
Yeah, because it became a cool thing.
Yeah,
They
because
realized that it's cool to not be a sheep
yeah,
and to do things whatever you want to do.
exactly. And I think that's like sort of tells you that choice of being peer pressured, especially at an older age. I think once you're an adult, you have to know the signs and signals of being pressurized into something. I think same with social media. Like it's easy to say that, oh, like I was on Insta and I got pressurized into buying this. Well, no, you had a choice to do that. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think the less literate you are, as to more educated or close-minded you are, it's easier to like be affected by that peer pressure versus
Yeah.
if you have a vast array of knowledge, then yeah, the peer pressure would affect you less. And I think that's why one of the things that works out for them is because they have so much know-how of holidays, life, and whatnot. At least within this sphere, they won't ever get pressurized or peer pressure into believing something that's not wrong. And I know in a lot of like games with like level like layer levels, usually I remember when in PC we used to play, like you could easily do something like choose the door which like you were like no, like okay, like believe other people and then do it, and which will mess you up. But I think that's why if I think about it for them future, this will help them in the sense because they aren't there because of that knowledge, they won't be pressurized into believing something that's not true. And especially I think coming if it comes from someone else who also knows about holiday. But
Yeah.
I think it usually reflects in all the all the board games and whatnot, like what is it called? TV games. What's Family Feud technically? Reality shows,
I
right?
guess I guess it's a TV game or something. That's probably better than reality show. It's a TV game, maybe. Oh no, I know that there's a name for it. I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember anymore.
And it's a the typical that scene in like Mean Girls of like everyone giving an answer and then one person's like, no, I know my answer, so I'm gonna give that, and either that ends up being right or wrong. But yeah, I think peer pressure would not affect you if you had enough information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that makes sense to a certain extent. Like, I was just thinking how interesting this dynamic is, which is usually like it's kind of rare or it's different from what normally the dynamic is. So you have that third guy, I don't remember his name, it was weird, iRock or something like that, who has like shit tons of money, but he's an idiot, right? Versus Wade, who has zero money, but he's a genius in terms of holiday knowledge. So in a group of people, like in most of anything that I've seen, whether it be book, movie, TV show, whatever, a rich, cool person is generally shown as the person that the crowd is for, right? The crowd is cheering on this asshole. And then you always have this character that's like the underdog. He knows everything, he's smart, but he doesn't have the confidence. And in this case, in this book, it's so not like that, right? Like they show that Wade has the confidence because this avatar is giving him this freedom and disconnection from his real life. And I think it gives him a confidence that he normally would not have.
Which started from previous chapter.
What's up?
Which started from the previous chapter of him answering that guy. Yeah.
So it's like same thing where like this, he got laughed at. Like the guy, the cocky guy made a joke, like the crowd laughed,
and everyone laughed,
right? And he felt bad, he was embarrassed, but then he came back stronger. He answered his questions, made him feel like shit, right? The crowd obviously saw that, okay, this guy's an idiot, he doesn't know anything, and like we don't want to be behind this guy, we'd rather be behind these two, right? So like that kind of dynamic was so cool to see. And I was like, it's different because I think we're so used to seeing this character, this underdog, that his story develops slowly and then he becomes confident, then he becomes this hero.
This one, he's already pretty at the top.
Right. It's just that he's at the top at this very specific thing that luckily for him is super important for everybody. Like, it's like a very niche thing. And it's not like he just is a genius and everyone like accepts him. It's because he's a genius at this one very particular thing, which honestly probably anybody could do. It's not like he has any sort of special skill. It's just the hard work that he's put into it. That's it. Like, and the hours that he's put
it's like one of those things that like being into, let's say, like Harry Potter before it became Harry Potter, you know? So like
Mhm.
that, he's in that phase of he knows already everything about like Holiday and whatnot, but
Yeah.
it's the world knows about it at this point because I mean his, but people are forgetting, but he's still like, no, I still want to know. So I think even when, I mean, later on he'll find the key and whatnot, like egg, his knowledge,
Spoilers.
I mean, at this point everyone knows, but I mean, I think he, if it was anyone else, they would feel not horrible, but I would feel really scared of the fact that I am at the top of the world at this point where I don't have that information yet. It's the same as like doing a job that you're not, you feel like you're not qualified enough for, even though you probably are, but just not knowing things. So I think
Mm,
with him, he will have the confidence, so that wouldn't play into this like later on whatever happens, which will I think eventually lead him to be a better player as well.
yeah.
But it's like winning because he sort of he deserved it kind of versus,
Yeah.
yeah, versus that any like less like, because we don't know any other less deserving person in that sense. And I mean we know the whole what was that, IY, who are doing like, who don't care about the knowledge stuff, they just care about the winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
but but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Was there anything else?
I don't even know. I think there was like, it was a really small chapter as well.
What I liked, I think one thing I highlighted, which I felt like maybe is the opposite of peer pressure, was when Wade is talking about H and how he has money and whatever, and
Right.
he's talking about, but he never lorded this over me or ridiculed me for not having enough dough to teleport anywhere, and he never insulted me by offering to loan me a few credits.
Right.
So I felt like that was like somebody who could easily even like not knowingly, implicitly peer pressure you to wanna go get more money or
Yeah.
ask for whatever, but he like knows that, he recognizes it and makes sure like actively to not make a big deal out of it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So like I feel like that says a lot, because it's a conscious effort to to not do that. Like I feel like, because sometimes people do things without like realizing, like
Right.
like I know a lot of people who are wealthy and they don't realize the things they say are not accessible to everybody, and so they say these things like offhand and they don't realize that no, not everyone can do that, right? And it may come across in a way that is like, oh, you're poor, I'm rich, even if they don't mean it that way,
Right.
but that's how it comes
Could come
across.
up as that. Yeah.
Right. So like to be aware of that and to say, okay, like I'm gonna not even say, hey, do you want some money? Because that
Right.
may come off as insulting. Because that's coming from a nice place, right? But he knows how it's gonna affect him. So I felt like that was a really nice way for him. And Wade recognizes that. So I think that's like a really cute mutual
I think sort of,
respect.
yeah, like I think we are getting to
Kindness.
their relationship in that,
Kindness.
yeah, I think we're getting to their relationship in a really unique sense because, and yeah, based off of what they're like, because that's about it at this point, what it's driving their friendship at this point. But yeah, I think,
Oh,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. This is
No,
separate.
you go ahead.
No, this is different.
No,
You go
it's
ahead.
okay, mine was nothing, so.
Okay. No, I was gonna say like one example of that peer pressure that I was talking about in terms of the crowd was like, when you're in a crowd and you say something and everybody laughs and it makes you feel like, oh my god, okay, and then you keep going. Or the opposite, right? Where someone says something to you and everyone cheers and you're like, are you kidding me? Like, so like there, when he says laughter from the peanut gallery, I was actually getting a little pissed off now. So if nobody else was around and H had made that comment to him, I don't think it would have hurt as much.
Yeah.
But now that there are people watching and laughing, the pressure is like, fuck, and now I look like this idiot in front of everybody. No, I have to come back and do something. So I felt like that was like a pretty clear peer pressure.
Plus, I mean, I think here the clear peer pressure with like other people would be two people laughing and then everyone feeling the need to laugh, because it's like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
that's yeah, that's, oh my god, I've been there. Yeah, totally.
And then I mean, you might understand the joke like 2 minutes later, but you laughed at the right time.
Or this is so random, but that time, or that thing when somebody tells a joke and you don't get it or you didn't hear them, and so you're like, what? And then they repeat it and you still don't get it, but you just
so you laugh.
Oh. And you have no idea, but you don't want to be that idiot that doesn't understand. Oh my god, been there. But I've also had that happen where there's multiple people who politely laugh. So like, this is also another random thing, but like somebody will say something or say a joke and we both are like, what? And then they do it again and we're like, look, you have that like awkward connection of neither of us understood that, right? Yeah. And I feel like that's so nice to be like, okay, I'm not the only one.
I mean, I think peer pressure is so interesting because I think not society, actually society, it's sort of built, I mean, because we believe in so much like communities, like society, I think it's built off of being not pressured, but relying on other people about what your choices are. And I think that sort of defines peer pressure in a way as well, because if like, I mean, it's easier to say that, oh, be your own self, be you, and then do you. But I think it's so hard in the normal sense, especially when you're growing up and even later on. I think people nowadays consider being you as something that's really like superficial in a sense. But I think a lot of I think what your story initially pointed to were these implicit things where those are the ones that matter, and those are the ones that you are actually getting pressured to do. I mean, the entire idea of the what was that documentary on Netflix, the social dilemma one. I mean, that is peer pressure. I mean, yeah, they're not your peers, they're social media, but I think that's what it is. It is that pressure of even not knowing what you're pressured into doing, but doing it anyways because everyone is doing it, or the people you like are doing it specifically. And but yeah, I think, and then a lot of it is hurting you, but you just don't know that yet, probably.
Yeah.
But which then directly qualifies as peer pressure if we consider it something generally negative. But
yeah,
because I think at this point we're done with being peer pressured into drugs and all. Because
I think at this point we're old enough to do it if you want it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but like, and not only that, but like, this is gonna sound very strange, but like, not only that, but I at least have the confidence to call out peer pressure.
Yeah.
And I make it a point to be like, dude, stop, because if I've said I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. So cut it out. Like I make it a point to be like, you if I like, there's no reason to push someone to do something, especially do something that is, like drugs. That's not like, hey, wear a red shirt. Okay. But it's like, okay, ingest something or do something to your body that you're scared of, do not want to do. That's like the worst time or thing to like, I never understood peer pressuring for drugs. I never understood.
I get it. I have a good explanation, I think, for it. Because I'm thinking of, as you were talking, I'm thinking of when I got generally peer pressured a lot into drinking and I never drank. But I think, I mean, there were points where I was annoyed by like, I've said no, I've explained it even, which I don't really have to, but I have. And why is there still pressure? And I started realizing there was a lot of pressure from the people who believed that they shouldn't be drinking, but were drinking. And
so they felt this guilt.
Yeah, I think it was that guilt, straight up guilt talking. Because like there were a couple like Muslim people, friends, acquaintances at this point, but who were drinking and would be the most vocal people of like, oh no, like why are you not drinking? Like you should just try it. Versus like people who drank normally, who are not Muslims, who can't relate to me, were like, yeah, no, like why do you care? So I think a lot of, especially with drugs as well, I think at the end of the day, if you're into like intense drug, most people know that that's probably not healthy for them, and there is a certain amount of guilt that comes up of shit, why am I doing this? Or even generally, why am I doing this? I think that drives you to pressure people, because otherwise I think if you're
so shitty. So what you're essentially saying is that I'm in this horrible place, I need somebody else to be in this horrible place with me.
Yeah, that sort of helps you with the guilt, unfortunately.
That's so much worse.
Yeah, because if you're not feeling the guilt, let's say if it's a lighter drug, let's say if it's weed, if you're not feeling that you're doing something wrong, quote unquote, but then you wouldn't feel the need to pressurize. And I think
to that, I'll say, with weed, especially with personal experience, the peer pressure that I've felt with weed is the opposite, because everybody people who do weed, or like who tell people to, hey, you should at least try it, is always from a positive experience, to say, right, you're gonna enjoy it. It's not gonna be,
but see, I think there's a difference when it's wanting other people to do something because you like it. I don't think that's peer pressure. I think that's just
it can
suggestion.
be, absolutely.
Like, I think you're not pressuring other person to enjoy it as well. You're suggesting
but see, if you're coming from a place, peer pressure is about both sides, right? So, and I think mainly the recipient, how they feel about being pressured into doing something. So if I'm sitting here, I've never done drugs in my life, right? And somebody says, hey, try weed, it's really good, you'll feel good about it, try it. I don't know, I've never done it. What if you're lying to me? What if it's horrible? What if
you're feeling peer pressured, but in that moment when you're feeling peer pressured, it is still negative for you in the sense where you think it's wrong. So I think
anything that pressures you into doing something that you're unsure of is peer pressure.
Yeah. Which, because mostly, I guess you're unsure because you think it's wrong or not.
Yeah, whether it ends up being good or bad, or whether it is in general a good or bad thing, peer pressure is peer pressure. I think it's just like when you're hesitant or you don't want to do something, and other things make you feel like you need to, or other people make you feel like you need to do it, and that can be a positive thing. Like I think what you had talked about last time, where just because the end result may be positive doesn't mean the initial thing was positive, right? Just because I may have smoked weed and I was like, hey, this was a great experience, it doesn't mean I didn't feel pressure when I first started, right? So I think it can be a positive, like for both things. But to think about that, like, because my initial thought was like, little kids in like high school or younger who smoke cigarettes and peer pressure other kids to smoke cigarettes is like, where did that come from? Because I know one of the pressures, and is not direct peer pressure, and I guess it is the need to be cool. And I think that pressure doesn't come immediately from others. It's not like you're in a group of smokers. Hey, want to smoke?
Wait, I can hear you. It's
you can hear me? Okay, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like, if you're in a room of smokers, right? It's not, and you're the only person not smoking. It's not the fact that they're coming up to you and saying like, hey, smoke.
Yeah.
It's you feeling like, oh, like I'm the only one not smoking. Should I smoke? Yeah, I'll take a cigarette.
Yeah.
So
that episode from Friends was exactly the same. They told her,
oh, right,
not to smoke, but she picked up smoking because she felt that she had to.
She was left out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
no, that's pretty definitely true. I think there are both sides. There's so many positive peer pressures as well, like going on a roller coaster, like going bungee jumping.
But it still makes you feel bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when someone's peer pressuring you, it's never a good experience, even if the end result may be good, right? Yeah. So like if somebody's like, do it, Poonam, you're gonna have so much fun. I'm like, okay. And then it's great. But that moment is still like, ooh, like
so panic. We can sort of say that with peer pressure, the person who's being pressured is like inherently being told to not necessarily step out of the comfort zone, but feel uncomfortable because other people are not understanding that person. That's why otherwise they would have done something themselves, I'm assuming. But
or like just do something that they would not have done outside of other pressure. Right. So they would not have voluntarily done this thing had it not been for other people putting their pressure. That I think that's how I would read it. Right. So like in anything, like from something, the smallest thing to the biggest thing, I think it has to do with, would you have done that out, like if nobody else was there? Right.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But I think that's pretty clear about, that's why it's peer pressure. But then again, with all the other like general peer pressure of like wanting to be cool and whatnot, it is phased towards being that way in front of other people. So I think that's pretty like clear on, you see like 8 people doing it, so yeah, you want to be the 9th person, like part of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I get it. I think we've talked peer pressure to death, and I won't pressure you into talking about it more. So
now I feel pressured because there's so many eyes on me right now, so
oh my god, all those 3 eyes. 3 pairs of eyes.
Okay. I was like, what is this alien thing?
Don't worry about it.
But I don't.
What does slid open mean? Okay, never mind. That's next
No,
chapter.
go ahead. What was it?
Nothing. It was next chapter. Oh shoot, we have to pick a category.
Yeah.
Category is...
First you have to pick a favorite sentence.
Oh crud, I forgot to pout that. Let me say.
I can go first if you want.
I have 4% battery, so like hurry up. Okay, go.
Oh, I picked what up, Humperdinck. I said, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Gunters loved to play the game of one-upmanship and were constantly trying to prove they had acquired more obscure knowledge than everyone else.
Too kind of dry, but okay.
I just like the acknowledgement of the fact that everyone knows that all this information that they're taking in is useless.
Yeah.
In every other
imagine just
doing all this and then nothing happens.
Knowing so much. It's that feeling of, I feel that sometimes too, of reading an entire or spending 20 minutes on something and I'm like, this is so stupid. But I mean, I think it's still interesting, so I get them because we still watch Grey's
Anatomy. I think it's different because they're doing it for a specific goal that they don't even know exists and could possibly not be there. So they're not spending 20 minutes. They're spending hours and days and months and years.
And it's not even years ago, actually, because it's not even that information. There's fans of Lord of the Rings who are into it, who know the Klingon language, who know everything. But I think this is still even worse because it's not even your own interest. It's someone else. It's someone else's obsession for the 70s that has made you big peer pressure. Halliday was obsessed with 70s, so now the entire generation is obsessed with the 70s.
I think
this should have been our starting point about peer pressure.
You said 70s 7 times, and I was like, the 80s.
80s. But wait,
oh my god,
no 80s.
It's the 80s.
Why am I still confused? I still think
I don't know. Didn't you just read this chapter? Oh yeah, that's so funny. I still remember in the first chapter, you're like, I remember this specifically. 4 by 5 by 9.
5 by 9. But it was 4 by 4.
And I'm I didn't have the heart to be but I did. I definitely did. So
yeah, I think it registers in a way and then it stays. But even if it's wrong, it's so permanently there that it's well, yes, it's right.
Yeah.
So technically you just have to know that you know it, even if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
What's equal to 5? I know it. And then
okay, so ready? Themes.
Oh yeah, themes. Pick a good one because peer pressure.
I need to save this document somewhere so I don't.
Yeah, I didn't even open my phone because I was I'll have to scroll up way too much.
No, I think I sent it to you again. So please tell me it's there somewhere. Aha! Found it. Okay, so I'm picking one?
Yes.
Oof, disillusionment.
No. I don't even know what that means, so never mind.
Regret.
So early? I think we should keep the intense negative themes later.
Attraction. Did we do our attraction already?
No, we did not. We did relationships, and so we talked a little bit about that.
Memories?
That could work.
What if there's no mention of a single memory in the entire thing?
Then
see, even in this,
horrible.
You know what always happens? The theme that we pick next is the perfect theme for the chapter.
For the one after that. Yeah.
No, because we just read and they were talking about how they first met and
I think we are thinking about it, but we just have forgotten how small these chapters are. Because
I know
they end before I'm like, wait, I thought this came in this chapter, this theme.
So okay, I think memories is a good one.
Are you sure?
Yes. It's either memories or attraction, so you pick.
No, memory is fine, I think.
Are you reading the chapter so you can see which one is better? You cheater, Peter.
I'm trying to look for on my phone.
Wait.
You sent it again.
Oh,
What?
something weird happened.
What happened?
I need to charge this before I can do anything else. Okay. All right. So next one is
Not peer pressure. What was it?
Are you kidding? What was it again?
Memories. Yes.
Wow. Speaking of memories, ours suck.
Maybe that would. Oh shit! I have to tell a story. No, that'll be cool. I have a lot of memories.
You have a lot of memories.
That's true. That I now remember because I can't clearly make new ones. So.
What if you come in and you're like, oh, my favorite memory was when we did last chapter. Remember when we talked about peer pressure?
I mean, it's my story, so it could be.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I forget what I was laughing at when you were telling the summary. I was.
Yeah, what was it? I mean, I've started to realize that you laugh at something that I do a lot. So now I'm a little confused.
It's just funny because I know that if you and I were having this conversation on FaceTime or whatever,
it would be the same.
You'd be so different.
No, I think that would be the same.
I feel like there's this pressure. And speaking of, that makes you feel like you have to like do something or fill the silence.
But see, that's the thing. I feel like one of the big reasons.
Or maybe I'm reading into it because I feel
think
pressure.
You're reading more because I think one thing I've realized is a lot of it comes just because of the fact that we're on Zoom and the camera's not in my hands. And I think I've sort of like
you don't know what to do.
like this move and like that stuff. I generally do it, but not when like I have my camera like with me. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you're a different person when you're on the phone.
Yeah, I suppose. Because even I realized I did this in the Zoom meeting and I was like, and I was like, no, wait, this is a professional thing, so maybe not do all that stuff. But I think
I think it was for this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think I in a sense am deprived of the face-to-face chat with you specifically or with people who know me, that I do feel that I think innate pressure of wanting to be that person who I never got to be in a sense with people. You know what I mean?
I get that.
So I think that's sort of
no, I don't excuse me. I don't mean to say that you're like a completely different person. You're not. I think that there's just because I think there's a need to be not professional, but like I think there's like this invisible audience in our heads that we feel like we can't be lame or we can't be weird, and so it's not
good actually, which is like
I guess no, but like I think it comes out. Like I don't think we're very good at hiding it anyway, so it's fine. But like I think I laughed because especially with the summary, with everything else, like I think we talk casually.
But with summary, we're telling to like other people anyways. It's not for us.
Yeah, I know. So like with the summary, it was just funny because like you're getting way better. I'll say that much because I think the first one is I think the first one was the funniest thing I've ever heard. But this one
was so delayed. So I think
not only that, but there was that was a prologue, and right? Was that the prologue?
Yeah, that's true. It was the prologue.
So there was a lot of information. Yeah. So like in this one, it was like very specific, like one thing happened. But I don't know. I'm trying to remember what it was. Like something triggered me and I couldn't stop laughing. And then it was literally that thing where I was like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to be laughing. Stop laughing.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
you can laugh if you want.
No, because then it's like mean. I'm like, you're like doing the summary and I'm like,
I think all of our fans will now start to realize that you are the mean one and I'm the nice one.
I think they knew that from the beginning.
That's right, actually.
Yeah. The amount of freedom.
You laughed at my first time ever summary as well. So
yeah, but see, I think when I laugh at it, it makes you want to be better. So you're welcome. But also, like being labeled as mean gives you so much freedom, and I love it. I love the freedom of self-proclaiming myself as an asshole, and so then I can just do whatever I want, and nobody can be like, "Oh, that's not what I thought she was."
That's true. But see, then when you're nice once in a while, they'll be like, "Oh my God."
That's the way to do it. Like I try my best to be nice, but I mean, I am what I am.
But then see, my mean comments will be like, whoa, okay, he was really serious.
Okay, but like you're like actually mean. Like when you talk to, okay, we can stop recording by the way. But like no, like you're like cold. Like sometimes you can be so like I'm like, oh my god, that's.
I think that's when a third person is involved.
Yes. So especially
No, I know,
you know who. And I'm always like, oh my god, stop! That's so
I think
mean.
that's also because I feel that other people sometimes like.
No, because I feel like you would think that you're being truthful.
It's that same thing about remember that scene from Mean Girls where that girl's like, oh, like and then she punched me in the face. It was so cool.
Yeah, you're not. Actually, you know what? In her eyes, you may be that.
Yeah.
But because I'm seeing from the outside, I'm like, oh. And I think in your head, you think like you're doing like tough love or like you're being like this honest person. But I'm like, I don't think she needs to hear this. And I always like come to her defense, but I'm always like, maybe she doesn't need that.
And she's like, who? What?
Sweet thing.
She doesn't see this or comes till the 50th minute of the.
Or she doesn't. There's so many she's that we know. Come on, we're so popular, and all of these she's that we're talking about. I mean.
Okay, wait.
Oh. Wait, are we done with everything that we're supposed to do?
Do we have a thing about how did we end the previous ones?
This is just maybe something that I made up in my head, but do you read the last sentence or no? Did I just make that up?
Last sentence. We do first sentence, and then we do, or not first sentence, first a little bit.
We do first sentence, we do story, we do story, then summary, or summary and then story?
Yeah, story and then summary.
Story, summary, theme, conversation, and then next theme. And then that's
favorite sentences, and then
favorite sentences, theme for next week.
And then
okay, cool. Ready? Right. 3, 2, 1.
Where's the stop?
You'll never know where it is.
Oh, I always think that it would be red, but it's not red, it's good.
do it.
Okay. Wait, do that again.
Okay.